We often talk about what makes a good teacher, but what does it take to become a truly great one? It's not just about knowing your subject inside and out. Nope. It's really about having the right tools for those real, unpredictable, and sometimes messy moments in the classroom.
So, what is that secret ingredient? What's the thing that really separates the good from the great? Well, it turns out it's all about how a teacher diagnoses problems, manages the room, and then responds to student mistakes with real skill and intention. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to build a practical toolkit. We're going to break down some of the most common challenges teachers face and lay out some clear, effective strategies to handle them. So let's dive right in. Okay, first up, challenge number 1, diagnosing your student's needs. Because think about it, before you can help a student get better, you have to know exactly where they're getting stuck. It's all about pinpointing those specific language gaps so your lessons can actually hit the target. To make our lives easier, most language errors fall into one of 3 big buckets. You've got grammar, which is all about sentence structure. Then there's lexis, which is basically vocabulary, word choice. And finally, phonology, which covers pronunciation, stress, and the flow of speech. This simple framework, this is our diagnostic tool. So let's put it to the test. Imagine one of your students says this sentence out loud. "I satisfied with my job." You totally get what they mean, right? But you also know something's not quite right.
All right, thinking about our 3 categories, grammar, lexis, and phonology, what do you think? Where does this error fit? Is it a problem with the sentence structure, the words they chose, or how they said it?
If you said grammar, you are absolutely right. A key piece of the sentence structure, the verb to be, is just missing. The correct sentence is, "I am satisfied." See? By diagnosing it correctly, you know exactly what concept you need to reinforce. All right, so we know how to spot the problem. But let's move on to our next big challenge. What do you do when things just don't go according to plan inside the classroom? Because knowing the theory is one thing, but mastering the art of classroom management is what really makes a teacher shine. Oh, this is a classic. We have all been there. You've just explained a brilliant activity. You're all ready to go, and you look up to see nothing. Just blank stares. The energy just evaporates. So, what's your next move? Okay, here is your rescue plan. First, just try again. Maybe a little slower, a little more clearly. If that doesn't work, show them. Do an example yourself. Then ask very specific checking questions like, so which tense are you going to use for this? That's way more effective than the biggest mistake we all make, asking, do you understand? Which almost always gets a yes, even when the answer is no. All right, another classic scenario. You just feel a bit of a disconnect from your class. Maybe you even got feedback that says you need to build rapport. That can feel so vague and frustrating, but really, it just comes down to a few simple actions. Building that connection starts with just being yourself and showing genuine interest. Really listen when your students talk, watch your facial expressions, try to be open and approachable. And this is a big one. Go at the student's pace, not the pace of your lesson plan. Sometimes you gotta slow down, sometimes you speed up. Varying the pace is how you keep everyone locked in. Creating that flow, that rapport, it's all about building a safe space where students feel comfortable enough to take risks. And what's the biggest risk for a language learner? Making a mistake. This brings us to what might be the trickiest challenge of all, the correction dilemma. So to make the right call on when to correct, you first have to be crystal clear on the goal of the activity. Are you focused on accuracy, meaning you want them to use the language perfectly, or are you focused on fluency, where the goal is just for them to communicate, to get their ideas out, even if it's not perfect? This one distinction changes everything. Once you know your goal, you've basically got 4 main moves you can make when a student makes a mistake. You can ignore it, just for now. You can correct it right on the spot. You could jot it down and correct it later. Or if you notice a lot of students making the same mistake, you can plan a whole future lesson around it. Okay, let's apply this. Picture it. You have a really shy student, one who almost never speaks up. They finally join a group discussion, but they make a little grammar mistake. What do? Do you jump in and correct them right then and there? Yeah, probably not. In a group discussion, the goal is fluency and participation. If you correct them immediately, you risk shutting them down completely, maybe undoing all the work you did to build their confidence. Right now, the priority is just to keep them talking. So, we've talked about diagnosing needs, managing the room, and correcting errors. But all of these techniques, they're all grounded in one single powerful idea about who the classroom is really for.
And this quote just says it all. The ultimate goal is a learner-centered class. It's not a stage for the teacher to perform. The students have just as much right to be there, to practice, to mess up, and to learn. And that's really the heart of it. This entire toolkit, it's not about showing off how much you, the teacher, know. It has one single purpose: to create opportunities for them, the students, to practice, to speak, and to learn for themselves.
So, we'll leave you with this one question to think about. When you walk into your classroom, is it built around your teaching, or is it truly built around their learning? Because that answer, well, that makes all the difference in the world.